TMCnet at Astrocon 2008.
Hi, we're reporting from the show floor of Astrocon. It's the 5th annual Astrocon event, this year being held in Glendale, Arizona. With me right now is Danny Windham, the CEO of Digium. Danny, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So Digium has been a rather busy company over the last 12 months. Perhaps you might address some of the company's recent partnership announcements?
We have. We've made a number of partnership announcements. In fact, the ones I'm going to talk about today are just the ones we've done in the last 2 weeks. So if you go further back, there's a whole lineage of announcements that have come through. The ones we've made recently include an announcement with CameraVox.
Sure.
CameraVox is an organization that has built a unified communications solution that runs on top of Asterisk. They're a UK-based organization, and there was an announcement that went out about that a couple of weeks ago. Another organization is Telrex. Telrex produces a product that is sort of a specialized call recording solution. So if you were possibly a doctor's office and you were looking for something very specific, Telrex call recording solution might do things for you that the call recording capabilities that come standard in Asterisk just do not address. Others include i6Net. i6Net offers a VXML solution that works in conjunction with LumenBox.
Okay.
So they are an add-on for organizations who would rather do voice prompting using VXML, which makes it a little easier to use.
Sure.
And then today, we sort of let the cat out of the bag on our relationship with Counterpath. There's an announcement that's coming out soon. In one of the sessions at Astrocon, we previewed the fact that there is a soft phone called X-Pro for Asterisk that's been developed. It's a joint effort between Counterpath and Digium. It's going to be sold through softphone.com, and it is something that makes soft phone administration much easier to do inside of a business, so I'd encourage you to go out and check that out as well.
Oh, that's great news, because I know that in the past, for on the Switchbox side of things, they were able to use any SIP-based soft phone, but there was some integration that had to be done.
In fact, you can still use any SIP-based soft phone with either Asterisk or with Switchbox. What this does is it puts the administration burden associated with managing those soft phones within a business in the Asterisk administrator's hands, which is where it should be, as opposed to in the user's hands.
Right. Excellent. Well, since we brought up Switchbox, it was 1 year ago at this very event at Astrocon that Digium announced the acquisition of Switchbox. Perhaps you could share with our viewers a little bit of the, sort of the past 12 months and how that acquisition has gone, and how you're able to serve the small and medium business community today.
In fact, the acquisition, from my perspective, for the last year has gone very well. The premise behind the acquisition has proven to be true. There is a need for a product like Switchbox from Digium, and we get questions all the time. Does the fact that we acquired Switchbox in any way diminish our interest in driving and supporting the open source community? The answer to that is absolutely not. In fact, one way to understand what we're trying to accomplish is we want to bring Asterisk to the masses. And if you think about the way the market is structured, there was a great book by Chris Anderson called The Long Tail. The Long Tail talks about the way demand in the market is shaped, and it essentially says there is a segment of the market that is a mass market that looks for a canned product, but there's a gigantic segment of the market that can benefit from a customizable product. And so take that structure, and Switchbox is what Digium is using to address what is the mass market demand for a small business IPPBX. Outside of that, any other product, any other market, any other demand segment, we see better served through the open source version of Asterisk and the commercially licensed versions of Asterisk as well, to build a solution for those customers as opposed to having a mass market canned solution available.
Right. Yeah, well, time flies, and it seems that just recently we heard that you were joining the Digium team. But it's been a year and a half, I guess, and as you approach your second anniversary at the helm of Digium, what are some of the more exciting things that you've experienced in the open source telephony world?
It has been a major transition for me. In fact, better understanding the way open source projects are structured today, I think that if a person moved from one open source project to another, that there would be an incredible amount of learning to get in and understand that project's community, the way that project is structured, and what the business opportunities are structuring it, underlying it, much less coming from a proprietary background, which is where I came from. Now, I've been a member of the Digium board for 7 years prior to taking this position, so I have been exposed to the company for a long time. But you don't get the same level of exposure as a board member that you get as the CEO. So, one, understanding how vibrant, how diverse the Asterisk community is, how many applications, how many geographies, how many languages, how many companies, how many business models, how many applications there are that Asterisk is finding its way into is just incredible. So the speed with which open source telephony is being adopted You know, it's a pretty good analogy that the temperature outside is almost 100 degrees. That's a pretty good metaphor for the way the IP telephony market is heating up. And here in Phoenix, Astros is an example of how that is in part of what's driving that entire phenomenon in the marketplace.
Excellent. Well, Danny, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today. We've been speaking with Danny Windham, the CEO of Digium. Obviously, for more information on the company, feel free to log on to www.digium.com. Thank you.